Ryan, thank you so much for doing this. It's funny when we were texting like 2 years ago. I was so scared of social media that it was like a burner number that I was texting you from because I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. Like, I'm not comfortable with people online. I never have been until now because some of my best friends have come from TikTok and Twitter and all these things. You just got to be careful. And so I'm sorry about that. I will send you my actual number after this,
Totally.
this podcast. But this is honestly all about you. Uh,
Can I start with the question?
yeah, absolutely.
Do I just refer to you as Lobo?
Low bow.
Lobao. Do I just
Yep.
call you Lobao?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
In that case, Lobao, I forgive you.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Well, seriously, sometimes it just feels so good to hear that because those of us with ADHD, we've been told our whole lives that we're doing it wrong. So to have someone say like, "Hey, I'm not mad at you," like it's such a relief sometimes.
It's everything. And I'll actually get into that later because my number one premise is I think that friendship is actually the cure for this.
You promised it was going to be epic and you've delivered within 25 seconds. Because, yeah, wow,
It,
friendship is the solution.
now, there actually is no scientific solution, but all I know is that I have a boss that cares about me. That when I'm going through a struggle, says, take all the time you need.
Wow.
You're too good to this company. Come back when you want. I also have a
Who says that?
very large group of friends that they're like, yeah, you are spastic as shit, all this kind of stuff, but your heart is in the right place. So why would we condemn you for your heart being in the right place? So we'll just show up every day and support you, and that's it. So that is why
Incredible.
I've only had one job in my entire life, one job as an ADHD person, and that's working in college sports. So ran cables, took out the trash for about a month, and then I was promoted to part-time, then full-time. And I have a staff of a lot of people, and it's because I cared about them, not
Wow.
anything else. And so, God, I'm getting way too into this way too quick, but this, but that's the
Incredible.
premise of this. Is basically my wife's best friend did end her own life 5 years ago, and she had ADHD and she was bipolar. And her husband is still one of my best friends to this day. But I didn't feel like people ever told her how good she was, and that's the entire premise of this amateur, bullshit thing podcast or whatever is. I just want to talk to people and say, you know what? Fuck yes, I'll give you a slap on the shoulder. You're awesome. That's it. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. But this is about you again. And so, Ryan, what is your ADHD journey? You are free to tell this however you want. I will interject here and there, obviously, because I'll interrupt because I have ADHD. But
Well, that's how we roll. It's fine.
yeah,
Well, Lobao, first off, as a coach, it's my duty to help give perspective.
okay.
I mean, I swore to the coaching code of ethics. And I just want to invite you to think about how you view your own show because the words we say matter. And you talked
Okay.
about this amateurish bullshit, whatever. And I know you're kidding, but I think you know that my heart's in the right place. That like,
Oh, it is.
hey, I'm here, and this is amazing. And you said it was going to be epic. And if it's bullshit and amateur, it can't be epic. So let's just be epic.
Let's just be epic. Holy hell. Okay, I love you immediately. Let's it's because I the only reason I say those things is because I think that that's what people like. I don't want to be this perfect human, that does everything the right way, that edits the correct way and has all the right transitions and all this. I just want to be myself. Like that's it. So you actually reaffirmed you're really good at this. Excellent. Let's continue.
Okay, I will, because the next thing I was going to say is the last time I checked, being epic doesn't require perfect editing or anything like that.
Right.
Like
Percent.
we're perfectly imperfect, and
Yep.
that's amazing.
Awesome.
Like you can tell the difference between the people who just own it. Like,
Yeah.
for those of you listening, Coach Ryan joined the call a little bit tardy. In fact, 11 minutes before the episode was supposed to begin, or after it was supposed to begin, I mean. And I could have I could have dragged my bag full of shame with me like I did for so long in my life. But I know that the reason I was late is because I was having a really deep conversation with someone who needed support in their journey. And I knew that you would want me to be no other place because of the story you just told about your wife's best friend. And guess what, everyone? For those who are not watching, I'm going to tell you, I got these chills on my arm. You can't make that shit up.
Wow. Yeah. You really can't. Wow. It's the relationships that we have with people that ultimately can dictate how, I'm not going to say cope, but how we can thrive with this.
Oh, yeah, that's a better one.
I think that when you have people surrounding you that genuinely care about you, it makes the symptoms a lot less. But no, Ryan, honestly, let's just go into your ADHD journey, and then we'll just go off on tangents for hours. But yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So essentially, I had an amazing upbringing. My parents, I'm really close with my siblings. So I live in tropical Cleveland, Ohio. And
your sarcasm is automatically perfect.
Yeah.
But
yeah. People, I usually get a good laugh from people when I say that. But anyway, growing up here, very much like a Midwest, middle class kind of suburban upbringing.
Right.
So there was nothing at all like traumatic or upsetting or anything like that.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert for anyone who's out there, that you don't have to have drama to have a good story. Like the things I'm doing right now and that Lobau is doing right now. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
okay, cool. I was really getting into it and I said it with passion. I just wanted to make sure that was there. Okay.
I love it.
That the things we're doing now, like it is epic. And so I'm going through my life. In high school, I started to notice like, I'm not like a brainiac, but I'm also not, needing remedial help on too many things. So it was just interesting to me that I seemed to be the last one to finish like any assignment in any class. Even if I knew the material, it's just like, why does it take me so long?
Yeah.
And then I can remember my mom giving me a hard time. I played sports in high school, and I can remember like, we'd go, I played basketball and baseball, and we'd come back,
tennis and football bus. For me. Sorry.
There you go. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
And we'd get back to school and go, we'd get changed out of our uniform in the locker room and we'd come out, and my mom would always say, "What do you do in there?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, I get changed, of course. What? Yeah, but why are you always the last one to come out of the?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I guess I'm talking to people and stuff." But I never really thought about it. But that's like time management has just always been kind of like part of my existence. Issues with it. And then when I got to college, I realized like, okay, we need to take some action here because I'm really struggling in some of these areas. And in high school, I could still and I'm sure so many people listening or watching this can relate, I was able to pull it off. Do the all-nighters,
Right.
wait till the last minute, and everyone's probably had a very similar story in that regard. But there was never enough negative consequences
Oh my
to
God.
reinforce, like, hey, you can't keep doing that until
Yeah.
college, where it turns out you can't learn a semester's worth of material that you're not interested in by drinking 12 cups of coffee and staying up all night before the big exam.
It's the interest.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So like I just thought to myself, because I pretty much had, like, I guess what would be considered like a panic attack or a nervous breakdown, like in a testing, like you can imagine like the stereotypical college, like stadium seating. What do they call those? Like a lecture hall,
Yeah,
basically.
it's weird. It's like something out of a scene in Las Vegas where you go to like one small amphitheater where it's like,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
I
funny
hate those things.
you said amphitheater. I was thinking more like what's the movie that Emilio Estevez is in? Breakfast Club. Um
I've never seen that movie. I've seen Not Another Teen movie that makes fun of Breakfast Club, but I have not
I
seen it. It's the actual one.
I would say throw that on the list. I think
All
you would
right.
really like it.
Okay.
Um
Will do.
any Anyway, so I'm in that environment. I'm sitting in this lecture hall trying to focus on this topic that I stayed up all night trying to figure out. And I literally am looking at this. It looks like a different language because it
Yeah.
was accounting and I had no idea what was going on. So I hear every clicking pen. I hear every tapping foot. I hear every chew of everyone's gum. It's like this, we can't turn it off. This is just how
Right.
we are.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much like freak out. I remember I had to go to the bathroom. I'm like putting cold water on my face. I'm like, my heart's pounding. I'm like, okay, you know what? I think it's time to get some help here. So sure enough, I got diagnosed with ADHD. And a lot of the clients I work with and a lot of fellow ADHDers out in the community who I am in contact with, it's a similar experience where as they're reading down the description of ADHD, it's like they're reading a biography of you.
Right.
And it's equal parts relief and regret. So it's like this relief of, oh, thank God I'm not crazy. Like this is a real thing. I'm not just making all this up. But then it's the regret of, wow, if I only would have known sooner.
Okay. So can I interject here for a second?
Please.
What
Yeah.
age did you get diagnosed with ADHD?
Full transparency. I mistold my own story. So I said it happened in college, but I got diagnosed in high school,
Okay.
but I still had that nervous breakdown before I was taking medication. So I got
Okay.
diagnosed when I was 15, I
Okay.
think.
See, and
Yeah.
and this is my privilege and my advantage is my mom got me to that doctor. I'm adopted,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
she literally studied it and said, "You're going to the doctor." I'm age 5, at this point. I've had all this time to figure out like what medication works, what medication doesn't work. Do I need medication?
Sure.
This and that and the other. That I can't imagine that delay in the diagnosis at that point in your life because now you're 10 years behind of the next thing. Sorry, like that really pisses me off because it's
Yeah.
I want people to be able to get help immediately when they need it. And you had a great upbringing, so did I. But God bless my mom. Like she
Yeah.
she used to force me to wear a Superman cape to elementary school. Force me.
I
It was
love that.
it was against the dress code. And she goes, by the way, the teachers are going to send you home. Um, I'm going to come pick you up. Wear it again. They'll send you home again. Do it over and over and over again. That to me was the most insane. And I'm not saying like ADHD is a superpower, but like I felt like a superhero because my
Yes.
mom was giving me all of these like get up and go, get up and go, get up again, get up again, get up again. And she helped me get up again.
So did the school end up saying, all right, you know what? We're tired of this. Just wear the thing.
Yep.
So this is interesting.
Yeah.
So Lobao, have you ever made the connection that your mom doing that for you might have been what kind of instilled that mentality for you
Absolutely.
getting the college sports job? Yeah. Because it's
Absolutely.
like, wow, that sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah. Day after day after day, they're going to tell you no, no, no,
Mhm.
until they say, you know what? We're so frustrated with this. Wear the damn cape.
I've always felt that I have something special to bring to the world.
Right.
And this is not me tooting my horn or being arrogant. And people are going to, and I know you don't feel it that way. I'm just
Yeah.
prefacing.
Lobau Spark is proudly supported by Leo Guinan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, and Beth Jones. It is now also supported by 14 anonymous supporters. And I understand that completely. I know I can swear and all that kind of shit. If you want to support it and be anonymous, I get it. I get it. Whether you want to be mentioned by name or remain anonymous, this podcast does not exist without all of you. And I love you.
So I have over 500,000 followers on social media across various platforms.
Right.
And that's saying that like the message that I am and you are putting out to the world about ADHD, it's important.
Yeah.
And what's just how you were frustrated about people not getting diagnosed at an earlier age.
Yeah.
That's why I am so on fire. No pun intended.
We got flames, but
yeah, but no, but why I'm so on fire about helping to educate leaders in business, because when you said they kept saying no and no and no. So I'm bringing the special talent that other people in my life recognize. You talked about surrounding yourself with people that care about you and support you. So I'm bringing this into the workplace, trying to take creative approaches and being myself. And they essentially said, please shut up, sit down, and do your job. Like, that's a really cute, clever idea. That's not how we do it here. Literally, I had a supervisor.
Are you kidding me?
He came up so I was in a call center environment, and I knew it was better for my hyperactivity if I stood up. And, you know, fire puns aside, I tend to run hot, like, especially if I'm taking stimulants or I'm drinking coffee, whatever.
Right.
And so I had rolled up my sleeves and like unbuttoned my button. It was a place where you wear shirt and tie. So he comes up and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just rolling up my sleeves, boss. Like making these calls, things are really heating up. And he's like, oh, okay. And so I thought like he was just kind of like giving me a hard time. And he goes, okay, sit back down and roll your sleeves up. I'm like, yeah, okay. Oh, all right. He's like, no, I'm being serious. This is dress code. Sit down. I'm like, what are we in? Are we in grade school? So anyway, I got rejected time and time again in the corporate world. So now that is the fire that pushes me. Like, that's not the way it should be.
100%. You are literally mimicking. I don't know the terms.
Our stories align.
Thank you. There we go. Yeah, I don't know grammar. I don't know any of that. I don't care about that. Say again.
I say I don't do the grammar.
Yeah, I don't do the grammar. I don't do the. All I do is the genuine care. And so you mentioning all those things. I had one teacher in high school that said, okay, you are not going to succeed in this school, but it's not your fault. But you will succeed in my class if you talk to me every day, just us talking through the subject instead of, I'm not going to give you a test. I'm not going to tell you that you have to do this. I'm not going to give you extra time on tests or whatever. I'm like, well, good, because that just gives me more time to think about how bad I'm failing them. So like, don't give me extra time. Give me a shorter time, and so his name is John Howard, and I mention him in every single episode is because he literally took me outside after every single class and said, the system is not set up for you, but you are insanely smart. I can show you how to bring that out just by us talking, because you'll have an idea through a conversation that you will just run on. And you know what? I'll support that. And at the very, very end of the day, he goes, you know what, Lobau, you like to party. You like to do all these things. No one's ever going to remember the test that they passed or failed, but they will remember the relationships at that party. And I was like,
Bingo.
whoa, okay. Okay. So I was like, so, being 16, I'm like, so blonde or brunette, like, what are we doing here? And he's, but it was fascinating to me that he would actually take that time to help me, because no one else ever did, except for my parents. And I'm better for it. To this day, he recently had a stroke. He was in my wedding actually as a teacher of mine, and he's a really good guy because he believed in my intelligence that wasn't scholastically related. That was the thing. It was like Lobau is good with people. So how do we do this to where he can help the world this way? But I think teachers are in a bad position right now, because you can't do that for every, 1 out of 20 or 2 out of 20 or 3 out of 20. It doesn't matter. Like, you've got a job to do. You've got this boss that tells you don't care about this. Just care about the damn numbers. And that, I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, and then we'll go back to your journey. Sorry. I do this every time. Every time.
It's okay. You warned me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, here's what I will say. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Mr. Howard, for doing what you did for Lobau, because think about the ripple effect that the extra time he took to empower you. 99% of teachers aren't going to do that. And so what I'll say is, for anyone who's listening, there's some recent statistics that I saw that as many as 7 out of 10 employees have some sort of an invisible disability. So people are on a journey where they're struggling. They're not always going to talk about it, or you may not even be able to tell.
Right.
But if someone takes the same approach as Mr. Howard did with Lobau and let them know that you see their strengths, it's going to literally change the world. You talked about this at the beginning, that like the solution is friendship. The solution is support.
Yeah.
And that's why in my coaching and then in the consulting I'm doing for corporations is, let's look at it instead of, okay, this is going to be great. Watch Ryan just bring this all together in an ADHD way.
Yes.
So, you know how you went to that educational institution and you went like day after day after day?
Yeah.
It reminds me of the story of Rudy, right? So like, it's like, kid, you're too small. Like we're going to crush you.
Favorite movie.
Yeah. So here's an interesting take on it. One of the books on my shelf is Strengths Finder 2.0. And it talks about the story of Rudy Rudiger. So in case anyone's not sure, the movie Rudy is based on a real person. But anyway, it talks about how we tend to root for the underdog. But let's think about, what if Rudy, instead of going out for the team, so like, yes, he makes the team, he's in one play and that's it. Well, he invested hundreds, if not thousands of hours doing that. What if we could have instead say like, hey, here's all your weaknesses. What if we took it over to the strengths?
Yeah.
So, okay, you're not built to be a football player. What if you go to student government or you play intramurals or you do whatever? So my point here for those of you who are either teachers, parents, friends, managers, leaders of any kind, try to focus on the strengths someone brings into your circle, into your life. And if you can help to encourage their strengths like Mr. Howard did for Lobau, that's going to change everything because our systems are set up in a way where we're trying to make everyone the same. Like, oh, you're weak in this. So let's focus on that and that and that and that and that. Okay. Why? Like that course that I had the breakdown in, I'm never going to go into accounting. Yeah. I could have told you that when I was 14.
Right.
So like the point is focus on strengths. Okay. I'm done now.
Absolutely. Okay. So am I good? You've actually helped me stop interrupting, which is great. Who is your coach, Howard?
My wife. Because so this is perfect.
That's
segue.
awesome.
Perfect
Awesome.
question. Because here's how it went. Ryan, in like I'm gonna say typical ADHD fashion. So like I'm at that job that I was just telling you about where he's like, sit down. And it was like such a pressure cooker, not a good fit. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
This was before I met my wife. My parents, like I said, super supportive. They're like, Ryan, that's so unhealthy. Like that's not a good place to be. Just get out of there. So through networking, through my alma mater, I ended up getting connected with another business leader. He knew me already. He's like, Ryan, I know you. I know your family. Like, if you want the job, it's yours.
Yeah.
Like, how amazing that is. Well, he ends up going to greener pastures with another company. So then the next manager doesn't really know who I am. Long story short, that one doesn't work out. And neither do the next 4 or 5 jobs.
Oh, shit.
So it's like, I keep going into these jobs where I come in hot. I'm like, this is going to be the one. How many times have people said that? Like, we genuinely believe like, okay, I can make this one work. And every sales job that I would join, Lobau, it's like, you have unlimited earning potential, like uncapped commissions, whatever. So I would overlook the parts of the job that were probably going to be kind of an Achilles heel for me.
Right.
And instead only focused on the ones that I would be good at. So I would come in and befriend everyone. I'd come in like guns blazing. Everyone's like so impressed, like, oh my gosh, this new guy is like so enthusiastic, whatever.
Yeah.
But then I could almost predict it. It was like between months like 4 and 5, people are kind of less impressed. Like the shininess has worn off. Like, okay, we get it. You're charming. You're friendly.
That's jealousy.
You're enthusiastic.
That's jealousy.
Fair enough. Same time though, it's like I kept trying to advocate for myself of like, no, I can really be this way. I need you to help me in these areas where I'm weak.
Right.
So long story short, I wasn't a good fit in corporate. And I, as I like to say, I kept being liberated, like spit back out with the proverbial box saying like, pack your things and leave. And so, of course, for anyone who's ever been
ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
anyone who's ever been fired from a job knows, like, it's such a blow to your self-esteem. And so I was, in a pretty dark place for a long time. And for those of us who are wired as neurodivergent, we are 3 times as likely to have other co-occurring conditions, like anxiety and depression, which, as I say to my clients and my audiences, is that really any surprise?
Yeah.
Because we have depression around all the things we've messed up leading up to this
100%.
point. And then we have anxiety because we are we really hope we don't do it again.
Yeah.
So there I am in this really dark place. And then two things happened. One was my wife says to me, I'll never forget, we were like getting ready for bed. And per usual, she's already in bed, like ready to go to sleep. And I'm still like doing whatever. I'm like
Right.
trying
Right.
to, I'm like fussing around with whatever. And so this is how usually almost every night goes. She's talking with me while I'm like getting stuff ready and like finally brushing my
Right.
teeth, whatever. So anyway, she's like, Ryan, it's so hard for me to see you this sad.
Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
like, your family and I, like again, my parents, my brother and sister, everyone's super supportive. We're very tight family. And they're like, she said, they're all worried about you, and so am I. And like, this isn't like you. I mean,
Yeah.
even though Lobo, even though this is the first time we've met, like you've
Right.
seen me, like that's the one thing about my content.
And I've honestly seen
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
entire spiel before. I just
Yeah.
want to know about
Yes. Go.
you, li- literally, like legitimately. I care about the person with the ADHD. This is not some sort of promotion or whatever. I just care about you. Like that's all
Yeah.
it is.
Exactly.
And
And
go ahead.
I'll interrupt your interruption.
Excellent. Okay, I
Hey,
love that.
you want epic? We'll bring it. So she says to me,
You're amazing.
and this is the question. This is the Mr. Howard question that's changed my life forever. Dramatic pause for effect. Ryan, if you could do anything, what would you do? Because clearly these other things that you've been working on, like they're not a good fit for you. And I was so stubborn that I like wouldn't admit that. And in
Yeah.
that moment, like I was willing to admit that I was wrong. Like, okay, that's not going to be my thing. So then it was what's weird is for how scattered our brains are. When she asked me that question, I had like perfect clarity. Exactly.
Blinders.
And
Yep.
that was my own sound effect, everyone, by the way. I went right back to two 2 years before that. I had been at the first time I'd ever gone to the International ADHD conference in 2018. And I had, by total happenstance, I feel like it was kind of meant to be destiny kind of thing. But I get introduced to the founder and president of the Attention Deficit Disorder Coaching Association, which now that I'm saying it, kind of mind blowing because that's how I ended up meeting Dorsey, who introduced me to you. And here we are. But anyway,
Right.
yeah. So he and I had one of those conversations, kind of like what you and I are having right now, where it's like
Right.
we may have never met, but we've always been connected. And you just like, I always like to say, this is a quotable. The depth of friendship is not measured by the breadth of friendship. So,
Right.
like, that's one of the things we're so good at as when we are peopling is like, we have so much love to give, and we just need to have a person to bestow
Yeah.
this love on. And so
Yeah.
I thought back to this conversation, and he said to me, like, Ryan, you'd make a great ADHD coach. And I'm like, ADHD coach? Like, okay, are you talking about like a life coach? Oh, isn't it like in the jobs that people despise the most? Isn't it like used car salesman, life coach? That was my like
Okay, you have a
impression.
great sense of humor, by the way. That's pretty funny.
And yet after talking with him, I'm like, so he kind of planted that seed. And now back to the present moment where I'm with Andrea, and she says, if you could do anything, what would you do? And I was right back in that moment. And I looked up at her. I'm like, I'd be an ADHD coach because I don't want anyone to have to feel like I feel right now. Like I am just like I don't matter. Like all the work I do is meaningless. Like I hate this. And she's like, why don't you go ahead and do that then? And I'm like,
How
really?
supportive is she? Unbelievable.
And like, Lobao, this is where like, so I am a very devout Christian, and
Shit. Sorry for the cussing.
Oh,
Just-
you could. Oh no, you can say whatever the fuck you want. It's your show.
okay, there we go. That's
So anyway, um, I really feel like all of that was meant to be because she's normally like not all about like big purchases and things. We're always trying to watch our money. And I'm like, honey, for me to sign up for this, that's gonna be like $5,000 to get my accredit, like get my coaching certification.
yeah.
She's like, your happiness is more important to me than that. So go ahead and do it. And
Wow.
then again, just like the perfect storm. So COVID happens and I had a few clients. So like I start this practice and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, all right, I have my certification. I'm a real coach. But how am I going to make a living? So I had a few clients that came to me through referral, just people who know me,
Right.
whatever. And one of them referred me to a 19-year-old young man in New York City. And that person was he was looking for coaching. So I'm like, okay, I don't really have time to be talking to like teenagers. I don't work with kids, but like I'll do it because my client asked me to. It's whatever, fine. So I jump on the call with this guy and he goes, I'm a coach too. I'm like, you're a coach?
No
I'm like
shit.
thinking, you're 19, kid. What the hell? And he's like, yeah, I help coach people on social media. I later find out he was like sort of BSing me, but that's okay. I'm like, oh, all right. And
right.
he goes, well, so like while I can't afford your coaching services, I'd be open to bartering. And I'm like, all right, what would that look like? And he asked me, what platform, do you think is like your platform? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty much a LinkedIn guy. So that's where I would go. And he goes, nah, bro, you got to be on TikTok. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, TikTok? I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm a 35-year-old white dude.
Right.
Like,
Like that's,
yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going to be, if you're expecting me to be like dancing and like singing songs and stuff, like
yeah, no.
you got the wrong guy. He's like, no, 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 it's not like that though. You can have the highest organic reach of any social media platform in history right now. And I'm like, he actually sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And I'm like,
Right.
I mean, what the hell? Why not? I'm like, all right, let's
And
try
then
it.
all of a sudden
Like,
you're a celebrity on TikTok. Like you
so,
literally are. Like
and so, and this is, so here's the amazing part, Loba, and I want everyone to hear this because like you never know when your moment is going to be.
right.
And this is like, I still can't even believe this sentence that's about to come out of my mouth. I went from 0 followers just starting an account to 330,000 followers in 60 days.
Yeah.
I was it was the right time, right place, right message where oh my I would log in, I'd be like, you've gained 5,000 followers. I'm like, what?
Yeah. That again, that is congratulations on that. But I think the only reason that you got those amount of followers so quickly is because you genuinely give a shit, and the genuineness of it is what actually like yeah, I'll
Thank
post
you.
on TikTok every now and then or whatever, but like I don't ultimately care. For the last couple weeks, I had someone fly in from England, Ohio, Virginia, California, etc., and we all just hung out for like 2 days
It's
because I was like,
amazing.
I will absolutely meet you in real life because all this like clicks and likes and heart buttons and all that, I don't get that. Like, I don't understand like how all those algorithms work, but I don't need to because all I give a fuck about is you.
Exactly.
That's
Where
it. But at the end of the day, like having two parents that support you matters. And from everyone that I've spoken with that is struggling so bad, It is my parents got divorced. My parents got divorced. My parents got divorced. My
Mm-hmm.
parents got divorced. And I'm like, why is it that the people with two parents that didn't get divorced succeed? I know it's biblical, but like it matters to have that kind of support system involved. And so I was like, all right, well, how can I extend this a little bit in terms of, okay, you can't lead with Christianity because if you do, you lose half of the people immediately that you can help.
Yep.
So why don't you just show them the power of God that is in you, which God has given us? You think Jesus cares about the cursing or the whatever? He doesn't care. All he cares about is us helping other people.
Bingo.
He understands that like the power of the message is to help other people succeed in life. I think that's an amazing thing. Like it's a tremendous thing. And so many people are like, well, what, why are you doing this? Coach Ryan, Lobau, whoever it is, why are you doing this? Well, it's because I actually care about you. Okay, so you're willing to dog it to death to put your own like happiness aside to help someone else? Well, yeah. So who does that resemble?
Mm-hmm. Bingo.
How about this? How about Jesus literally does, he is the representation of what we are on this planet. So if you decide to go do something to help someone else, he loves you for that, no matter what style you
Exactly.
do it. I,
That's why we don't need to edit out anything about Christianity unless you want to. It's your podcast. But my point is everyone's going to have challenges.
yep.
But when you have a belief that's bigger than all of that,
Yeah.
um, I just heard this literally yesterday. I want to make sure I get I want to quote this because it was so funny. And it's like, I don't want you to edit this part out.
Okay. I will not.
Hold on. I think it's in this note. I've got all my notebooks. He says, okay, I work with a spiritual director, which is essentially like a God coach. He's an amazing guy.
Right.
He said, God's love is bigger than your butt. And it's like, wait, what? And it makes people laugh because we always want to say, oh, I would do that, but
right.
And there's always a but that stops us. Like,
right.
I would have been successful as a coach, but it's like
100%.
Since I believe in God, like his love is going to conquer and has already conquered everything else. And we're Lobau and I aren't here trying to like convert people.
No.
I mean, look at Lobau. It looks like he's sitting in the bowels of hell right now, anyways, in the fire in the back.
That's the key. Is you do things that like this is a shower curtain. Okay, by the way, that my wife got me. This is a, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Lobau spark. Like I had to have a fire. I mean, you can't have Lobau spark with clouds in the background. Like
I know
and all that. So I'm so happy to talk to you right now about this because I honestly believe that at the very end of the day, God is controlling all this shit.
Exactly.
And if he instills something in you to go out and help someone else, you fucking do it.
Can I talk about the epiphany I had?
Yeah, absolutely. You can talk about whatever you want.
So there I am, like, okay, I've decided to become a coach.
Right.
And this is like before TikTok blew up and everything. Where things went well for me on TikTok.
Yeah.
This is like, all right, my wife Andrea encouraged me. Yay, I become a coach. I'm like trying to put this business together. And I am part of this men's fellowship group. So like you talk about like
Love it.
surrounding yourself with people who lift you up,
Love it.
which by the way, I kind of want to invite you to. I think you would like it. I'm just going to write that one down
Well, you're
so that I
also
don't forget.
invited to the 5:30 tonight group thing.
Oh, great.
So everyone that's been on this podcast before is invited to just join a meeting and shoot the shit for an hour. No judgment,
That's so cool.
not recorded. It's just
Yeah. No,
we just
thank you.
talk.
That's great.
So,
Love that.
yeah.
Well, so the reason I'm bringing this up is because one of the guys asked me like, "Hey, would you just share like your journey, kind of like what you're asking me about?" And
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to." And so I was kind of like, "Oh shit, now I actually have to like figure out what I'm going to say." So I was writing something down in my journal, and I'll never forget because it was a warm day. Like I was sitting out there like on my back deck without my shirt on, and I'm like sweating because it was like hot out. And I just remember like I had this epiphany where it hit me and I didn't know why. I had never thought of this. But if you're still actually listening to the episode right now, pay attention to this part because this can change everything for you and you don't have to pay me or lowbow anything. Your professional performance does not indicate your personal value. So like your worth as a human being is exponential. And regardless of if you get fired from 100 jobs or if you never even find a job that's the best fit, that doesn't make you any less of an amazing human being. And that was the epiphany. And all of a sudden, everything made sense. Steve Jobs, in his famous commencement address, says you can only connect the dots looking backwards. And at that moment, that was like my connection point. I'm like, wait a minute. Holy shit. All of the jobs I've been fired from, I kept being confused. And again, since I'm Christian, I'm like praying, like, God, why are you taking me? Like, why can't I just be good at one of these jobs? I just want to have a job, provide for my family, and just be like a normal person. Like why can we not, can we just get that going, please? And then yet I keep getting booted every time. And at that moment, I realized, whoa, I'm being called to help other people through all of those things. So all of the trials that I endured, the agony of like having to come home and tell your wife that you got fired again.
Yeah.
Like I'm just kept wondering, like, why does this keep happening? And that was the moment where I realized I'm like, wait, that's what I can center my entire coaching practice. So that's my why. Like when Simon Sinek asks, like, start with why.
I love him, by the way.
Yeah. So anyway, that's to kind of like tie it up with a bow from my side because I have a call in like 7 minutes. So
shit. Okay.
It's all right. So here's what I'll say. Like kind of the message I want people to hear too is I've decided that the way, because I'm in 2024 when this episode is being recorded, I've made a big decision to pivot my business where, yes, I'm still on social media. Yes, you'll still see me there.
Right.
Yes, you can join my community for free through my profile, which I know Lobo and his team will have all the show notes, whatever. The point is, yes, I can help individuals and I'm happy to do that. But I realized I have to go from the top down and basically go back in and talk to the leaders in the organizations like that boss I had. Because some of them, it's not that I hold resentment. I think it was just genuinely ignorance where they didn't realize because they can't see an invisible disability. So that's why part of my like tagline with my corporate consulting offerings is I can help your leadership team to see the invisible and leverage the full potential of your team.
Awesome. Okay. So good Lord. Ryan, you're incredible. What are you most proud of in your life? This cannot be your wife, any kids, anything. It has to be a characteristic within you that you are the most proud of.
Ooh, I love this question. My authentic enthusiasm for life and other human beings. Because like when I meet a new person, I genuinely love getting to know about them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's Ryan, that is so fantastic. And honestly, I know this is like a little bit emotional, but I've waited for this opportunity for so long to be like, God is in control.
Yep.
That's it. And because of you and because of me and because of a lot of other people that are trying to help, it's not us doing it, it's him. That's it. I've never been given that opportunity to like go into that and being like, you know what? It's not us. It's the power he instills in us to do it. Ryan, I love you, buddy. I'll see you soon.
Love you too.